Dun, 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 dun. Make sure I close all my emails so I don't hear that ding, ding, ding. All right, so we're up and live, and I want to. So this is part of a little pilot program on something that we want to try in EDCI 6710 and the Masters in Curriculum Instruction at CSU Bakersfield. And these are fantastic and amazing local educators that volunteered some of their time to participate in a panel conversation where we're going to talk about an autoethnography assignment where we actually went into the online spaces that children are in. And then we found out, kind of what they're up to, and we have tips and suggestions for implementing it in a formal class. And then also, if there's anything concerning that we should be letting parents know. So I'm going to go on the YouTube stream. I'm going to go in clockwise order. So our first one is going to be the amazing Laura Avendano.
Well, I'm Laura Avendano. I teach 5th grade, and I decided to do my project on TikTok. Why did I observe that space? I thought it was because, first of all, I had never used it before. I just told myself I'm not 10 years old, so I don't need to be there because all my 10-year-olds are using it. So I thought it was something that was really not for me. So I had never used it before. And so I decided that's why I chose it. That's why I decided to use it. And oh my gosh, it really did open my eyes. But yeah, that's what I chose it because I had never experienced that app before.
And then your grade real quick again, Laura?
5th grade. I teach 5th grade.
And where are you located?
I'm in Mojave, California City.
Okay, cool. And then next we're going to go with the amazing Cindy Dodge.
Okay, I'm Cindy Dodge. I also teach 5th grade, and I also chose TikTok. But unlike Laura, I actually have my own account because of the students. I'm talking about it so much. So I went ahead and created an account for myself. And through this assignment, I actually went in as a 10 or 11-year-old and observe that experience compared to mine. And I teach in Plumdale. So
Cool. So we got the high desert well represented here. Without further ado, and last but certainly not least, the amazing Ashley.
Hi, I am Ashley Garcia. I teach TK Kinder in Tulare County, and I decided to observe Among Us. I decided this program because my TK, it was actually one of my TKers that mentioned it during class, and she drew up as a person, as one of the people for Halloween, and my 5th grader, my daughter, plays it. So there's a huge age range that this game reaches out to. So I wanted to see what's up with this game. Why is it so engaging to these students, to these little people? And I wanted to dive into it, see what was going on with it.
Okay, cool. So the first question that I want to start out with, and I don't normally like to start with concerns, but that's usually what's on everyone's minds, when we're talking about social games or social media. And so I do want to address the concerns first, but what are some of the concerns that you had when visiting the space? And then how can we share these concerns with parents, students, and the community? And whoever wants to hop in first, go for it.
I'll go first, I guess. So I went in as one of my students, or I went to exactly the pages they follow. So I asked my students what was their favorite creator in TikTok, and they gave me the names, right? So I went to those specific accounts. And what was concerning to me was the fact that every single account was not made for kids. I didn't see not one kid being the content creator. It was all adults. And the accounts they followed were very adult themed. So they had like violence and, adult topics and mental health issues, bad words and all that stuff. So I was like shocked that that's what they were following. But at the same time, I understand that that's pop culture now. That's what they're into. That's what they like. So those were my concerns. The fact that there were no kids in there. It was all adults, but kids were watching. And I feel like in order to let parents know, I think obviously parents know they're on TikTok, but it would be nice for us to let them know, and a quick message, here's what I saw, here's, I went to that account and this is what I saw. I don't know if you're aware of this. I will not tell parents that they shouldn't be there, the kids shouldn't be there, but I should just, let them know this is what I saw, this is what I'm aware of. Because at the end of the day, we cannot tell parents what to do with their children.
See, when I went on, I didn't ask my kids the creators that they followed, but I actually typed in a birth date that made me 11. And if you are honest and say you're 11 and type in that type of birth date, the content is so much more limited. They can't even like the content, and a lot of it was, most of it was kid produced. A lot of it was teen produced, and some of the teen videos were anime based, and I thought the content was a little bit more mature than 11-year-olds should be watching, but they couldn't even like the content. So, when you like on TikTok, then it keeps showing you the same type of content, and they didn't even have that option. So I thought but that kind of tells us that the kids are not signing up as their age. And so if they did, I think it would be more age appropriate, but they're not. They're signing up as probably over the age of 18 or 18, so they can, all the content is open for them and they can like and follow and stuff like that. So when it comes to talking to the parents, I think it would be a really great idea to build into maybe the first day of school, which is past now for this year, but next year, building in a conversation about social media sites and the impact that they have on the students, just kind of a broad overview, but mention the worries or concerns that I have with some of the content. So like an overall view.
Oh, cool. Thank you, both of you.
So for Among Us, my concerns was the game base itself. It is based on killing, on murdering. And so that, I know your viewers might say, oh my goodness, it's just a game. That's kind of the eyes that my own 11-year-olds gave me, like, Mom, you are digging way too deep into this. But our assignment was to code in two different codes and categories. I try to take the parent lens, the kid lens, student lens, and teacher lens. So it is based on something that on the morals that we don't really want to be teaching our kids and our students. So for it being so popular, it's kind of an odd game to be popular about. It's not something that you just go outside and do on a regular day basis. And maybe that's part of why it's engaging, because it's not something that we do. Another concern was the bad habits kind of contributed to the advantage of the game. If you were the imposter, the killer, you had to lie to the players to go to the next level. So that's another attribute we're not trying to teach our kids and our students. In this game, they're to lie in order to get further. And blaming others. When I was playing, because part of our project for those viewers, we had to really dig in and play. I was playing. I got a comment that, oh, you're such a good liar, because I was the killer and I was lying. And I felt so bad as an adult, as a teacher, as a mom, to get this reply from, I don't know how old this person was, but to tell me that I'm a good liar. It was like, oh, thank you, because I won the game, but no, thank you. I don't want to be a good liar. So that was a concern. So that untrustworthiness. Another concern was that open communication. There was the chat box. There was there are ways for people to input links in there. I was in a room that there was a link. I didn't push on it. I didn't want to get a virus on my phone or be taken to some inappropriate content. So there's ways in there to be linked to that. Even if you're in this game, in the Among Us game, if other people can put those links in there, you could be put into some other type of web-based place. So that communication platform is a little scary. And also the names that were on there for different players, there were inappropriate names. For younger players, they may not recognize it or get it, but for adults, it's kind of apparent, when you're switching out a letter for a number or, an exclamation point, something like that. So there's also that inappropriateness. To make other adults aware, parents aware, I did mention PDs for teachers. That's kind of for the teacher platform, for the district to kind of, because our project took some time, and not every teacher is going to take this time to learn all these different things about this program. So I feel like it would be useful to have PDs for one person to share the information with all teachers, and then the teachers can use their platform to share that information with parents. Because of course, I'm a parent and I didn't even know, and my daughter's been playing this for a while now. So I don't think parents are going to take that time, especially right now. We don't have time just to be playing around on these games. So it's kind of like a trickle effect, district to teachers, to parents, to students eventually.
Hey, when this assignment came out, or before it came out, I did the assignment myself over Christmas break with what my son watches on YouTube. And I remember thinking like, oh, it's just, he watches cool stuff. It's not a big deal. But then I went through the history and I saw a couple things and I was like, wait, how did he get there? Like, I don't even understand it because he's little. Like, it doesn't even make sense how he found that. So when I went through this assignment and then I started going through the side and clicking, it became like a rabbit hole of like terrible, not child-friendly content. And one of the themes that I noticed pretty quickly was these are adults getting like the eyeballs and the views from kids with adult created content. So it's like, it's like kind of like South Park. It's by adults for adults, but using friendly little characters. And so when I saw that on YouTube, and it sounds like that's also what you see on TikTok, or that I know that's also what we see on TikTok. On Among Us, I mean, it's different, but do any of you want to share some thoughts on that before we go into it? Because that to me was the most surprising part. It's like, we're getting kids to watch it and we're getting paid for views, but it's not kid content, obviously.
Yeah, that was the main thing I saw, and that's what was concerning to me. The fact that all this content was created for adults, because I'm not gonna lie, I found it funny.
Yeah.
Like, some of these things are funny, but I'm like 31 years old. So I'm just wondering, how is it that kids understand it? And how is it that it is appealing to them? When they're children, they're 10 years old. So that was a shocking part to me. The fact that I was laughing, and I was thinking, wait a minute, this is a 10-year-old who follows this page. So yeah, that was my thing.
Yeah, I was concerned about, there were lots of really interesting like art videos, either how to do art or showing the process of how they created something. And those were pretty cool. And I was, it was like, oh, this is really neat. And then all of a sudden the song would be playing and it would be this horrible language. So it was a really cool video, and showing the process of this particular form of art, and then the music would be blaring and it had horrible language and horrible content. So I was surprised at that.
Any thoughts, Ashley? You want to jump in on that?
No, just reflecting on your YouTube that you went into. I noticed one of your notes about it. That's what I kind of noticed. My daughter watched that same YouTube channel, and it's really, the dad implements his rapping in there all the time. And I've noticed that before, and I'm like, this is a kid channel. They're talking about what they do. And I've noticed now that years passed on, he has videos, he's rapping more in them. And I'm like, okay, is he just trying to promote now his music through here? So they are trying to engage those kids, but I think other things underlying in it.
It's free eyeballs, like it's free views, and everything's judged by views. So the more people you can get, the more you'll make. But what in the class, I don't know if it was somebody in this here with us right now, but in the class, somebody said this, and it really stood out to me. They said, if this was in my generation and I turned on the TV and somebody would come running from the kitchen and say, hey, you're not supposed to watch that, turn that off. They said, but now with kids this age, they have a headphone, they could literally be at the dinner table or there, and everybody's like, oh, he's just watching it or she's just watching it. It's not a big deal. And so we don't get that natural community filter that we used to get.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or parents are consumers of that same thing, like TikTok. Parents are in it, so the kids are listening, the parents watching them as well. So it's a normal occurrence at home. Yeah,
that's a great point. Let's see. So so now those are the concerns. Now, the next part though is, as we noticed, that when you do go into some of these spaces, the ability to create is very powerful. And so at what level at Bloom's taxonomy were you operating in this space? And are there any skills from those spaces that could be transferred into formal learning? And so I want to point something out though, for anybody that's viewing. What we don't mean is like, everybody play, TikTok or Among Us in class, but like, what are they actually doing there that transfers over to school? Although you probably could bring Minecraft into the class or any of those other spaces. So let's see, last time we went first with, I believe it was Laura, correct? Let me see what order we have here. So this time we'll go with Ashley. Ashley, the question again, at what level of Bloom's taxonomy were you operating in this space? And there are any skills that can be transferred into formal learning?
So on Bloom's taxonomy, I felt like I operated, and other players operated at every level actually of it. We were remembering, they had to recall facts and memorize what happened, because after somebody pushes a button that they know who the killer is, they need to apply that knowledge, understand what did they just see, who did they just see run around, who did they think they just saw kill this person, and apply that knowledge, analyze it also, and trying to convince your players of, this is a person. They also evaluate, or I did, make a decision on who that person is, make an argument of who that person is and why. And it also lands on the creative part, because the game, you can create your own room. You can say how many imposters, how many bad people there can be. You can say how many players are in there and the timing. So I felt like it touched base on all categories of Bloom's taxonomy.
And then is there anything that can transfer?
In the classroom, I feel like all of those can, not the game itself, but recalling facts. That's a kindergarten standard. They need to retell a story. So it's kind of on that spectrum. They need to understand what is going on in read alouds and stories and the content that we're delivering during lessons. They need to apply those new skills in their own individual assignments. And kind of in the upper grades, I feel like they are starting to analyze. You're analyzing between materials, between books, between media. They are evaluating, and as you get higher into grades, they're evaluating, supporting, their selves, supporting with more details, and being, of course, creative. That can go along K through 12, even higher, just making your own, developing your own stance, your own artwork, your own writing. So it is a not game that you could put into the classroom, but it does entail strategies and skills that you can utilize in the classroom.
Cool. Thank you. So then next would be Cindy.
Well, when I first was evaluating it, when we were, responding after looking into TikTok, I was like, no, it's just kind of at the lowest level. And then somebody, and I don't know if it was Laura, because a couple people did TikTok, but somebody mentioned putting answers in the classroom and the amount of time that it took to make a TikTok. Was that you, Laura?
I
by
don't think it
chance?
was, you know.
Okay. And so that kind of made sense how I could bring it into the classroom, because since most of them have a TikTok account, and, getting them to get to the point, and making it worthwhile. When she mentioned creativity, I did think about that when I was watching, um, a couple of my students have followed my account, and so I have access to theirs. And when they make videos, they're so much more creative than they are in the classroom, and very stylistic. They, they've taken a lot of time. They've added a lot of, sorry, they've added things to it to give it a certain feel. And I'm like, wow, I had no idea they had so much creativity in them. So I guess that's one way. If I could assign it, especially in language arts, after we read a story, they could make a 59-second video on their understanding of theme or something in what we read. So I thought about it afterwards more, and I thought of different ways they could probably use that idea in the classroom. So
Cool. Thank you, Cindy. And then Ashley,
No.
Laura.
or Laura, sorry, Laura.
So as far as Bloom taxonomy, I think I was operating at pretty much all the levels except create. I did not create anything in that platform, but I did the rest. I mean, I can see how users use the rest of the steps as well, the levels as well. So in the classroom, I think I started using Flipgrid a lot, and it kind of translates to what they do on TikTok. So I made my videos 1 minute long so they can have that same reference. And I let them choose their own aesthetic. They get to choose the background, that you get to choose whatever they want to put in there. So I've been using that, I've implemented that, not precisely TikTok, but something similar to TikTok, for them to just kind of, like, I use them as a quick assessment. So they give me like a little message about what we learned that day. And they look pretty cool, I have to admit, because they get to put their own personal touch, even though we're still doing schoolwork. So I thought that was kind of nice that they got to that level where they are creating educational things with skills they learn from somewhere else.
Cool. Thank you. That reminds me, I can't remember who this one was in the class as well. Someone said something very similar to that, Laura, that they said that although they can't use TikTok, that in their high school class, when they ask students to summarize, they tell them, if you're going to summarize it, it's like a TikTok video. Okay, so your essay is like a YouTube, but your summary is going to be like a TikTok. So you got to make it short, sweet, and to the point, and you got to make me want to watch it or read it. Because if I don't want to read it, I'm not going to go all the way to the end. And
yeah, I think that's the person that I was talking about. And I was like, oh, I can use that in my classroom, even with fifth graders.
So one of the pieces, my son, he's in middle school, and he showed me a TikTok that a kid about his age made. And he didn't know the kid, but it was on his feed. And then he showed it to me, and it was funny. It was just like a cheesy little video. And then I saw the views, and it was like 1 million views. And the comments were just like rolling. And I stopped and I thought about it, and I said, there's a good chance that any essay that that boy's written this year, that maybe the teacher read it and really nobody else read it, and then he makes this video here, which the joke, it was thoughtful, like it was a thoughtful joke, like I laughed, and then I realized, so he knew which filter to use, he knew how to set up the background, he knew how to make the joke and then deliver the punchline and then put it, and now there's like 1 million people here laughing about it. And then I told my son, I was like, so what's more powerful, the 5 essays he wrote this year, or that one TikTok that he made? And why do you think he's more motivated? What would you be more motivated? He's like, oh, I'd be making more videos. What are your thoughts on that? Because that's a real distinct 2 different worlds that student's operating in, if you think about it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, my thoughts on that is just pretty much what you said. The fact that what they're interested in and what they see as their own, they will do best on. So whenever they have that freedom to be their themselves, they will do a great job. But when they're being forced to do one thing because it has to be done, they're like, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. So with that technology, they have that much freedom to do what they feel like,
Yeah.
it appeals to them. So I think we can use that in the classroom. Like I said, my kids get to do their own video however they want it to look, but
Mhm.
just give me that one educational thing, that one thing you learned. So they're all over that. If I mention Nearpod or Flipgrid, they're like, yeah, let's do this. But if I tell them we're gonna write a story on a Google Doc, they're like, yeah, that's not it.
It's
So
all, yeah, definitely all based on that deliverance and the choice. I feel like that's where choice boards became popular because it gives them that choice. They don't have to do this assignment. They get to choose which one they want to do and how they want to deliver it. I love that you're implementing on Flipgrid as a way of TikTok. Um, so yeah, I forgot what I was going to say, but yes, giving them that choice definitely engages them in what they want to do. So
I'm
very
having
helpful.
I'm having my students read stories, and then I'm sharing the links with a friend of mine that teaches kindergarten in the district, and they're loving it. And so I had mentioned that we're just going to have them, read the book. And I said, point out the pictures or point out words and, explain if you come across a big word. And I said, eventually, let's start making some questions that kindergartners can answer about the book, ask them who the main character is and stuff like that. And they didn't want to wait. They wanted to do it now. I don't think I was ready, but my kids were ready. They wanted to, kind of teach on Flipgrid. So
Yeah. I'm going to give you a last one, an impromptu question. So don't feel obligated to answer this one. So where this assignment originally started with was that I had taught 6 through 12. And what I would always do in those environments is I would always train kids to deliver professional development with me. And so people would always say, hey man, can you do that with younger kids? And I was like, of course. Have you done it? No. So then I go, you know what? I'm gonna go to third grade and I'm gonna show people that like third graders can do it. But my first week in third grade, on my calendar, I had already put October 10th or something like that. My third graders are gonna be teaching my class at CSUB. But like the first weekend, like August, 26th or something, I'm looking around and I was like, oh my God, I have no idea what I'm gonna have the third graders teach because like I have no idea what I'm doing. Like this is a totally different experience. And it was hard for me. And a kid was wearing a Roblox shirt and I had no idea what it was. I was like, Roblox, and then, I'm sitting there kind of lost, like wondering, like, they're not listening. Like I can't get them engaged. And then I go, what's Roblox? And then he starts laughing and all the little kids start laughing like, ha, he doesn't know what Roblox is. And then everybody wanted to explain to me what Roblox was, almost like they had a PhD in Roblox. And they're telling me like, oh, you got to get a server. And I was like, wait, server? Like explain that to me because that's a little bit higher up. And, and then it was supposed to be like the kind of like some of the more intervention students. And then they're telling me, is it first person? Oh, you're first person or third person? I was like, hey, that's not like a, like a third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade. You don't learn that for a while still. And then they're giving me all kinds of information that was like at such a higher level. And then I actually go and try and play the game with them. And I was lost, like completely lost. They actually had to teach me like the whole thing. So that was the first time that I was like, oh man, like this is crazy. Like they actually, like they taught me everything. And so then at the end of that month, when we did hold the class was the kids teaching adults about an unboxing video and how to do them. And none of the adults had known how to do unboxing videos or had never even seen them. And so that was like my realization that like, we don't know what these kids know, like unless they're there. And that's tied to student leadership, which is, who can introduce us to a lot of these things, which are the kids. So I don't know, give me some thoughts on like student leadership and technology, even like with the youngest ones, because I know Ashley, you're telling me that your youngest ones are playing Among Us, and I tried to, and I was like, I don't know what is going on here.
Yeah, it took me a little while, and I feel like they do know they do know a lot. And I feel like distance teaching is getting, kind of the low end, and these students aren't going to progress as much as they can. But I personally think, I'm not biased because I am the only distance teaching teacher this year, but they are growing, they are learning, they are understanding what's going on. Just recently, I have one of my students are in the camera like this, but I see her tongue moving in her mouth. So I'm thinking she's trying to pretend she's frozen. Now, I read about this before, about students like catching on to that. And when this happened in my class, I was like, whoa, this 6-year-old is not doing this to me. And I could tell it was not a frozen screen because her tongue was moving inside her mouth. She tried to do it again. And I kind of mentioned, okay, do I have to message mom? Do we have to fix your iPad? And then it took her a couple minutes, and then she came back. And then she was also doing the yeah. So I'm like, they definitely know what's going on. They're definitely learning. They're definitely growing. They have caught on. They're catching on to the Zoom. So yes, it was a very highlight of my day, my week, when she did that. And I mean, I have another student that, mom let me know from the beginning that he gets bored easily, but because he likes to learn information just so much. And that has been a challenge, via Zoom. So I give him tactile objects for his hands, and he'll just tell me random things. Like he knows the creator of Legos and where it was founded. Like it's just amazing that, they do know a lot, and just to get it out of them, build those relationships with them, for them to feel comfortable to, let us know what they know. They do know a lot.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. In my case, I've seen a lot of, first of all, I've seen so much kindness in the fact that kids sometimes know a lot more than I do, but they're so nice whenever they're telling me, what if we do it this way? Like, can we try it this way? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. They're not rude about it. They're not trying to put me down or anything, but they know a better way. And they're so kind about it. Like me say, what if we try it this? What if we do this? And I'm like, yeah, maybe that works better, So I let them explain it to everybody how they did it, how it was easier for them. And we go with that way. So that's something that's really surprised me this year, the fact that they're so knowledgeable, but at the same time, they want to teach others and they're kind about it. And also how they actually develop their skills so quickly. We started doing a narrative, and so they wrote their story, and I told them if we finish on time, then we'll have a certain amount of time to do an illustration for it, so you can put it as the cover of your story. So we went to Google Drawings, and we started doing a basic like little bear with circles and other shapes, just pure shapes. And today I had students actually developing full-on illustrations of humans, faces, animals. I'm like, holy cow, we did this for 3 days. And now you literally have shadows, you have depth and all that good stuff. I'm like, that is amazing. It was so quick, and they're able to do it. And I'm just glad they're proud of their job. They just keep going with it. They keep learning.
My kids are always helping me out technology wise, and they're pretty nice about it. And most of the time I'm asking them to help me. But then if somebody's struggling, with a student is struggling, and then they can see that I'm kind of hesitant because I'm not exactly sure how to help them, they'll jump in and they go, okay, go here, click this, see that on the left-hand side, click the, and so it's really awesome how they've become really helpful to each other and learning from each other. And they've also let me in on several different cheats for different things. And they informed me yesterday that the cheat on Kahoot, the creators fixed it, so they can't cheat on Kahoot anymore. Because we were doing a News ELA article, and I was talking about how students can amazingly read the entire article and answer the 4 questions and get 100% in 2 minutes flat. I go, that's amazing. I go, you know, there's got to be a cheat for that. There's a cheat for everything else. And they're like, but Miss Dodge, they fixed the one on Kahoot. So they're they still have heart, you know, they're good kids. So
That's funny. That's cool. So I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping it up. But I really appreciate you all taking the time to go through this panel with me. So something I mentioned it in the last announcement of the week, or the last module of the week, that within the CNI program, that's how you took these classes in the master's program. But there's also an EdTech certificate called, or there's an EdTech certificate for K12 educators that consists of 3 classes. And so what this class does is it kind of starts introducing the concept of like student leadership. And then in the next class, the one that's actually in the summer, that class, it introduces you to how different districts and communities around the world implement student leadership. So some schools, like high schools, actually have like student help desk and clubs where kids actually help deliver PD. And then they have a period where teachers come for support and help, and then like kids run it. There's tutoring programs where kids actually help support like the integration of technology. And so this was like a snippet of it. Now, I'm happy that you all participated in this pilot, but what suggestions would you have in the future for like a future class if they were to do something like this, like where if they had an option, so you can do a panel presentation that you stream like this online on YouTube. You can set up a PD at your school. Do you have any thoughts on like how else can we make like those first 4 weeks where you jump into their environment, you learn about your environment, the research, how can we make that something like this that becomes live and actionable?
That's a good one.
Panel presentation.
I wonder, I like if something like this would be beneficial to do for parents, you know, where parents can, you know, maybe a PTA meeting or something that's on Zoom, and a panel of teachers that have done this particular thing, and a way to inform parents without making them feel like you're trying to control what their kid is doing or something. Just informational.
Like a lot of the parents are on Facebook, so you can do this, but on Facebook. And so like in week 4 or week 3, week 4, you can have the CNI students, you know, create flyers, put like Bitmojis, and then actually push them out, and then make it a competition. Like, let's find out who actually has people showing up to watch. And then if not, you know, it'd be cool. It'd still be a cool assignment.
That'd be actually pretty fun and cool to see how many would show up to just a random Facebook flyer on informing parents. I feel like it would be important to record that also, just because parents aren't always available to, you know, come into live. So if there's a way to put that up like on YouTube too, and see how many views you get even after hours.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think that would work too for teachers, like just the staff, like a site staff. Just do one, like, because at the beginning of the year, a lot of teachers didn't know anything about the Google Suite, right? So we could do something like that, identify what the staff needs, and just kind of go with that same model. Just open a workshop for everybody to see who shows up.
Yeah, no, somebody had said something like, you know, you can do it on different topics. Like we're talking about ed tech, but you can do the same thing on different topics. But yeah, so I since we're with the elementary group here, I'm going to give you all a big Oreo cookie bite.
That's great.
I have not seen that.
Grateful. Really enjoyed the opportunity to speak with you all. So I'm gonna stop the stream, but don't go nowhere yet. And then so everybody wait.